When you're using a ruler or a tape measure or something along those lines, there is a limit to how close the marks can get. And when you're using one of those implements, you kind of need to know what the spacings are. So in each of these examples, we're saying that these are in inches. So this is 1 inch to there, to there, to there, and there. And we're trying to figure out what the smallest division is here. So you can see it's common to divide an inch into half. And then you can see there's 3 individual marks between these, which is dividing it into 4 spaces between them. So we have a half and a fourth of a half, so each of these are divided into eighths. Or you could, another way of looking at this particular one is saying we have a fourth, we have a half here, quarter inches would be there and there, eighth inches would be here, 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 and here. Or, those individual gaps are eighth of an inch. On this one, where if we say that this is 1 inch, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 division, 4 marks here, 4 individual marks, which means we're actually dividing it into 5 spaces. If you were to count these up, notice that 4 division marks means 5 individual spaces. So each of those would be 1/5 of an inch. Kind of a weird measurement. All right, let's figure out how many spaces this is divided into. It looks like we have it divided into half there. And each of these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. So there's a total of 10 divisions there. This is more common to see something like this when we're talking about centimeters, but I'm just going to go ahead and call this 1/10 of an inch, even though that's really weird. All right, on this one, this is a lot more common to see, something along these lines with a tape measure, with a US system of measurements, because we'd have 1 inch here, we have the half-inch mark there, quarter-inch marks, or 1/4 and 3/4, I should say. We have an eighth, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8, and then we have a 16th, 3/16, and so on. Those go in steps of 16, though. That's what each of those individual spaces is. Now, if you were to count all these up, you'd notice that there's 15 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 marks for these 16 gaps. Notice that the number of gaps is always one more than the number of marks. Assuming I'm not counting that one, I suppose. All right. So if we're trying to measure these things, and let's say we have a measurement, and it's measuring down to the nearest quarter of an inch, and the thing we're actually measuring, or the marks are down to the quarter of an inch, the thing we're actually measuring is here. Then it's common to maybe go with the closest measurement that you can. You might call this 3/4 of an inch. So this would be 1 inch here. This would be ½ inch. This would be 3/4. You might be able to estimate this a little bit. You might say that, well, okay, this is going to be 5/8 inch here, but it's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if it's closer to 5/8 or 3/4. There's a real limit to how fine of a measurement you can get there, and it is kind of based on the scale. But the scale of this thing is also based on other physical limitations of that. So what it says here is that if the length of the object falls between the scale divisions, record the nearest scale division, or sometimes estimate the halfway point. So in this case, you might say it's 3/4. I don't know why I said 3/2 there. 3/4. You might call it 5/8 because that's the halfway point between those.